When Raymond Tucker was mayor, he was dealing with some pretty tough issues that required real decisions and real actions. But in that same era, the 50s and 60s, there were other people who were just sort of dealing with, well, concepts of urban living. Patrick Murphy tonight takes a look at what some of those people were conjuring up.
Futuristic visions from the past of what a city might be. That's the focus of Metabolic City, an exhibit presented by Washington University's Kemper Art Museum. The devastation of World War II offered young Japanese and European architects opportunities to redesign cities around new principles. And though they were never actually built, these architectural renderings, models, and artwork from the 1950s and 60s reveal radical new directions in urban design, focused on the concept of cities as more than just buildings and infrastructures, but as organisms with their own lives.
The name for the exhibition was taken from a group that's featured in the exhibition called the Metabolists. And they formed their group around the name Metabolism because of this idea of a metabolic system as a life system that's an ongoing process, and that to start to think about our urban environments, our cities, our natural landscape as part of a continuum, and that different parts of that continuum have different lifespans. And so to think about the city as a living entity.
And this was a big change that came about in the 1960s, was this change of focus from the static fabric of a city to the activities of a city, which then convert into the city being a dynamic place itself, and a place that changes.
The Japanese metabolists developed the metaphor of the city as organism from the ashes of Tokyo, Nagasaki, and Hiroshima. Arata Isasaki's re-ruined Hiroshima depicts twisted megastructures in a burned-out landscape to show that the concept of a living, growing urban system can survive even in the midst of widespread destruction.
If you remember the history of the 60s, a lot of the things were to do with understanding the way that the body worked. So that then feeds through into the general culture. And some of the language gets used, so that words like metabolism is a medical term for something, but then it gets borrowed and used in architecture and urban design.
So the designs of Kisha Kurokawa are inspired by the growth patterns of nerve cells, as if urban centers may spread in the same way that neurons bond in response to their environment. Metabolist Fumihiko Maki's designs incorporate translucent rooms, as if they were living cells connecting mechanical and communication systems and distributing energy throughout the city. Kiyanori Kikutaki saw a solution to Japan's need for more space by envisioning the city as a creature of the sea, floating on the surface of the ocean, capable of submerging beneath the waves during storms. In Britain, a school of designers called the Archigrams collaborated on projects that celebrated consumerism and the changing popular culture of the 60s, blending architectural plans with pop art.
There's a degree of fun in the drawings. One of them is called the electronic tomato. You know, it's about kind of plugging into a tomato and getting your vegetable fix for the day. So they had a very good sense of humor, Archigram, because they wanted to make the architecture and the ideas accessible to everyone. And it has a very kind of optimistic view about technology and about our ability to empower individuals.
Archigram member Peter Cook's Instant City is a collage of photographs and newsprint depicting giant airships delivering elements of an expanding city. The Archigram School was primarily interested in how urban design could enhance the lives of individuals, give them more freedom and personal liberty, inspired by emerging technologies like the computer and applying them to urban design, like Dennis Crompton's Computer City.
Basically, cities are about people, and people are doing all sorts of funny things, creative things, sometimes destructive things, but the city changes in response to the way that the people who are the citizens are living. So you have this dynamic about the city, which is something that we as urban designers look at, what it might be that the citizens of the city their desires, their dreams, their fantasies.
So, in a place where art and architecture intersect, the work of these visionary designers for more than a half-century ago suggest approaches worth considering today in our own age of economic crisis, environmental challenges, and strained resources, encouraging us to think of cities as living things, constantly growing, changing, and adapting, much like the people who inhabit them.
話も内緒の話